In the 1941 film classic Citizen Kane, the title character resides in an opulent mansion called Xanadu. Built on an immense private mountain on the Gulf Coast of Florida, it was described as being the world's largest private estate. Numerous antiques and sculptures from around the world adorned both the interior of the mansion and its surrounding grounds, and also featured an extensive zoo and aquarium stocked with a menagerie of animals, including horses, giraffes, birds, and even octopuses. While both the character of Citizen Kane and his lavish estate were fictional, it is common knowledge that the movie was based on a real person whose lifestyle was strikingly similar.
Jim Geddes has something less than a chance.
That person was newspaper magnate and movie mogul William Randolph Hearst, and his estate was known as San Simeon. Much like Citizen Kane's Xanadu, San Simeon is a 90,000 square foot estate perched atop a hill in the Santa Lucia Range and overlooking California's beautiful Pacific coast. In its heyday, San Simeon played host to many political and Hollywood elites, like Charlie Chaplin, Clark Gable, Charles Lindbergh, and Franklin Roosevelt. When arriving at San Simeon, your attention is immediately grabbed by what was Hearst's personal residence, Casa Grande. This 68,000 square foot mansion has 38 bedrooms, 42 bathrooms, and 14 sitting rooms. Inspired by a church in southern Spain, Casa Grande and the surrounding buildings reflect the Mediterranean style of architecture. From the moment one enters Casa Grande, you are surrounded by the vast display of antiquities that Hearst collected from around the world, like this 3rd century Roman mosaic that adorns the floor of the main entrance. Inside of the entrance is the assembly room. Here, Hearst guests would gather at 6:30 every evening for cocktails, conversation, and a chance to meet their host. This massive room featured a large marble fireplace, walnut paneling, and a collection of 16th century tapestries that adorn the walls. At around 8 p.m., guests would then move to the dining hall for dinner. Guests whom Hearst deemed most interesting always sat towards the center seats closest to Hearst, while less important guests were seated towards the table's ends. Hearst called this room the refectory, a name commonly given to a dining room in a monastery. From the hand-carved ceiling panels taken from an actual Italian monastery to the flags that represent the different wards of Siena, the room definitely captures the feel of medieval Italy. The billiard room was a popular spot for guests to relax. The room is designed in the Baroque style and boasts a 15th century Spanish ceiling. When Hearst discovered that the ceiling was smaller than the actual room, he hired artists to build additional ceiling that perfectly matched the original. Casa Grande also boasted its own theater. Guests would typically gather every night to watch a full-length movie, usually from Hearst's own studio, Cosmopolitan Productions. During the day, guests were free to enjoy the many amenities that San Simeon offered: a game of tennis, or a leisurely swim in the Roman pool located directly below the tennis court. Modeled after ancient Roman baths, this majestic pool is tiled from ceiling to floor and features statues of various Roman gods and goddesses. But if indoor pools weren't their style, there was always the luxurious Neptune pool. This pool features the facade of an ancient Roman temple and is framed by 2 colonnaded pavilions that are covered with 17th century Italian neoclassical bas-relief. At 104 feet long and 58 feet wide, the Neptune pool can hold 345,000 gallons of water. Thanks to an oil-burning heating system, the water in the pool could even be heated. Whether in the pool or lounging in the shade of the colonnade, the Neptune pool was a great place to unwind. But San Simeon is just a small part of the 250,000 rugged acres that Hearst inherited from his parents in 1919. He chose this particular hilltop site because it had been a favorite camping spot for him as a child. When he initially approached architect Julia Morgan about building a home on the site, Hearst's intentions were quite modest. He told her, "We are tired of camping out in the open at the ranch in San Simeon, and I would like to build a little something." Over the next 28 years, that little something grew into an estate of 165 rooms and 127 acres of gardens, terraces, and walkways. While construction on San Simeon was continuous during that time, it all came to an abrupt stop in 1947. In Citizen Kane, the construction of Xanadu ground to a halt when the title character died. Similarly, the construction of Casa Grande was ceased in 1947 when Hearst moved off of the estate due to ill health. He died 4 years later. Today, several exterior walls of Casa Grande still bear witness to the unfinished dreams of Mr. Hearst. George Bernard Shaw once said that San Simeon was what heaven would look like if God had Mr. Hearst money. For those who have the chance to visit San Simeon, it still remains an example of heaven on earth.